You want more Black Bolt facts? And we got them. Honestly, we needed a part 2 because when it comes to Black Bolt, there are just so many cool and important things to know and important people to know. We were just scratching the surface with our part 1. This is Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight. Join me as we count down the top 10 Black Bolt facts you need to know. Part 2. Psst, let's get into it. Number 10. Crystal. It's really hard for me to talk about Black Bolt without mentioning the very important and influential folks around him. Besides, he is Inhuman royalty, which means knowing about him means that there are lots of other family members at court that you simply need to know. One such person who is super cool is Inhuman princess Crystal. Crystal can control the elements and was also one of the first few Inhumans we'd be introduced to through Marvel Comics. She had a long time on and off relationship with Johnny Storm, aka Human Torch of the Fantastic Four, but was also at one point married to and had a daughter with Quicksilver of the Avengers, aka Scarlet Witch's brother. She also for a short time was married to Ronan, the Accuser of the Kree. Yeah, that's a thing that also happened. She made her first appearance in Fantastic Four issue 45 along with her brother-in-law Black Bolt and her sister Medusa, who is also of course Black Bolt's wife. Number 9. Turn down the Great Lakes Avengers. In GLA issue number 2, the Great Lakes Avengers were desperate for new members on their team. They go around basically asking pretty much anyone they can think of if they want to join, including, you guessed it, famous Inhuman king Black Bolt. Black Bolt is pretty quick to turn them down, appearing on the first full page of the montage of rejections they get in a 3x4 panel layout. Black Bolt is seen in the bottom right corner in that panel holding up his hand with a stern expression on his face. Basically, he's like, no. Even without words, it's an obvious, loud, and clear no from Blackagar here. He's simply not interested. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you're loving our channel, be sure to head on over to Facebook to show your support for us there. And thanks. Number 8. Illuminati. The Illuminati was founded as a result of the Kree-Skrull War, with Iron Man bringing some of the most brilliant and powerful minds together with the intention of creating a sort of secret superhero team that could prevent threats before they ever became known to the world that they threatened. If that makes sense. I think it makes sense, what I said. Iron Man brought together Mr. Fantastic, Black Panther, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Professor X, and Namor with this intention initially, although Black Panther actually refused the offer to join, at least initially, warning the team that their hubris would actually be their downfall. Their first mission was to tell Emperor Dorek to stay away from Earth, and well, it didn't go so great, and ended up with the team being kidnapped by the Skrulls and experimented on for days before they were finally able to escape. Oh boy. Number 7. Karnak. Another important family member who is also just a really cool Inhuman that you need to know about in regards to Black Bolt is Karnak. Karnak is the cousin of both Black Bolt and Medusa. Basically, Black Bolt's uncle on his mother's side is Karnak's father, Mander, where Medusa's aunt, also on her mother's side, is Karnak's mom, Azur. So technically he's just cousins to both of them, even by blood. And as I said before in part 1 of my list, Black Bolt and Medusa are actually second cousins. Basically it's royalty, so everyone's like kinda related but also kinda romantically involved at the same time. You know, just royalty weirdness, just like how it went in history. Karnak is a really cool character because aside from being a badass and a very skilled fighter and combatant, he also can see the weakness in all things. Looking at something, someone, or even exploring a concept and seeing its flaws inherently, which is a really powerful and interesting ability to have. Number 6. His son! That's right, Black Bolt actually has a son. Ahura is the son of Medusa and Black Bolt, but was conceived without the approval of the Genetic Council on Attilan. As a result, Black Bolt and Medusa rebelled in keeping the child and would give birth to him on Earth. This would later result in him being taken away and used for other purposes by people who basically wanted Ahura for his power. It would also end up with Ahura getting locked up for a while too, which, yeah, that happened. Ahura's powers are similar to those of Black Bolt, but not quite at the same level as his dad's. That is, Ahura can talk without causing destruction or killing folks, and is more capable of like a sonic scream than, you know, a sonic whisper. Although we don't really often see him utilize those powers. Instead, his focus tends to be more on the psionic side when it comes to what abilities are showcased. He also suffers from the same madness that his uncle Maximus seems to have, which is also pretty much why he was like locked up for a while. In addition, he also has powers similar to Maximus, Maximus, which allow him to take possession of others. Aside from that, he also has the Evil Eye, which basically allows him to kill people with just a look, and he can also split his soul, creating psionic projections of himself. Number 5. Kang the Conqueror. At one point, Ahura is taken by Kang to become sort of like his protege or his ward. Black Bolt even made a deal with the villain while facing the Incursions that Kang basically take his son back into the time stream so that when the universe ended as the Incursions basically destroyed the multiverse, Ahura would be safe. Kang agreed to this, but under the condition that even if the crisis of the Incursions was averted, that Ahura would still remain in his care. Black Bolt agreed, but after the Incursions were dealt with and the world was actually restored to normal, Black Bolt of course attempted to retrieve his son anyways. He was like, I'm not gonna leave him with Kang. He learned what kind of person his son would become if he stayed with Kang, how he'd become kind of like a mad version of the Conqueror, who is already kind of a little crazy, doing his bidding and eventually defeating the original and taking his place. To prevent this from coming to pass, the Inhumans set out to get Ahura back. Although initially reluctant to leave Kang, when Ahura learned of how Kang would basically manipulate him, he decided to leave so that he might be in charge of his own destiny going forward. Ahura fought back against Kang, possessing Kang and warning him to leave the Inhumans alone or basically face Ahura's wrath, which I don't know about you, but I would not want to do. Even though Ahura is like a kid, he's pretty powerful. I feel like when he grows up, he's gonna be crazy powerful. Number 4. Death of the Inhumans. Black Bolt and the Inhumans were dead for a while as a result of them attempting to be pulled into a Kree civil war. When Black Bolt refused to get involved, seeing those who attempted to recruit him basically as criminals, it resulted in pretty much the death of well, all Inhumans, hence the name of this comic. In fact, he himself had his throat cut as the Kree attempted to kill him, but he miraculously fought back and even escaped his captors, also managing to give Ronan the death that he sought after he had been captured and experimented on by this band of Kree who sought to usurp the Empire. Pretty sad stuff. Death of the Inhumans, what a sad time. Number 3. Lockjaw. On part 1 of this list, we talked about some really important people in Black Bolt's life, and while I mentioned this one a little bit briefly, it was really more of like an add-on in the moment to recording that video, not something that I wrote and thought about prior to like saying what I'm saying here. And to be honest, Lockjaw deserves more than just a one-off off of my brain, because he is one of the best pals and allies that Black Bolt has, and like Blackagar, he's also super powerful. Lockjaw is the Inhuman royal family pet. He is best boy. Lockjaw was actually born as a result of experimentation. His mother was taken and experimented on, and her pups were also exposed to Terrigenesis while in her womb, which is also similar to, you know, Black Bolt's origin story. As a result, Lockjaw was born with kind of that little tuning fork on his head, which is similar to Black Bolt's. However, his power doesn't revolve around his speech center and his voice, but instead is all about teleportation. In fact, Lockjaw might be one of the most powerful teleporters that we have in the Marvel Universe. While his range has never been fully determined, Lockjaw does not seem to need any downtime after even teleporting a long distance, which for teleporters is pretty impressive. And if you're wondering what the little tuning fork thing does when he uses his powers, it activates. What a good doggo. Number 2. His own sign language. While in the comics, Black Bolt typically uses telepathy to communicate, and often has his wife Medusa actually speak aloud for him when needed, he sometimes will also use sign language. Although typically in the comics his sign language seems to be more unique to Inhumans, or maybe just himself. I can't be sure as I'm not fluent in ASL, American Sign Language, but I'm pretty sure that Black Bolt isn't using this language to sign in. Although if I'm wrong here, if anyone speaks ASL in the comments, let me know that I'm wrong, because yeah, like I said, I'm not fluent in it. Instead, it seems like Black Bolt actually has his own language. For the Marvel Inhumans television series, Anson Mount, who played Black Bolt, and Serinda Swan, who played Medusa, actually worked with Marvel to come up with their own sign language to use in the show, which also seems to imply in the comics that Black Bolt has his own unique way of signing, different from any other sign language that we have on Earth, which is pretty cool. And now I kinda just want to learn sign language. ASL though, not necessarily ISL. I don't know if I'd have enough information to even fully figure out Inhuman or Black Bolt sign language. Number 1. His voice can tear a hole in reality. During a gathering of the Illuminati, Black Bolt was tasked with helping them to find the Reality Stone, as in the Infinity Gem, by tearing a hole in reality. It turns out that his voice, if amplified by Reed Richards' equipment at the Baxter Building, is actually powerful enough to tear holes through reality. Is that not crazy? Because I think that's pretty crazy. Upon tearing a small hole in reality, it was explored in order to gain the missing stone, which of course was hiding there. The whole plan of the Illuminati was to gather the gems so they might destroy them by kind of like using them to destroy each other. However, this did not end up working, and in the end they decided to split up the stones and hide them instead, just to, keep them safe. This all went down in New Avengers Illuminati issue number 2 from 2007. And I mean, this is only one of the many examples of how powerful Black Bolt can be. I mean, I know he was power boosted here, but still, it's pretty crazy. Dude is insane when it comes to his power levels. What are some of your favorite Black Bolt facts and moments? For me, there are so many good ones, it's hard to choose for me. He and Medusa have had some really great moments together as a couple, but he also has had like a lot of epic fights or times when he's been down and out and like miraculously come back stronger than ever. Who is your favorite ally of Black Bolt? Are there any other Inhumans that you love? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.